Have you ever stood in your bathroom, looked into the mirror, and felt without knowing why that something in your life keeps slipping through your fingers? Not because you're careless, not because you're unlucky, but because a single object in that room has been quietly shaping the way wealth stays or escapes. Most people treat the bathroom like a secondary corner, a place you pass through without thinking. Yet in Feng Shui, it's one of the strongest energetic gateways in the entire home, especially the mirror. A mirror that holds light will hold prosperity. A mirror that loses its clarity will let opportunity drift away, the same way steam fades from glass. Today, we're going straight into the heart of this truth. No fluff, no superstition, just the precise Feng Shui principle that 90% of wealthy individuals already practice without talking about it: the daily care, placement, and energy of the bathroom mirror. Because this isn't about decor. It's about the subtle bridge between reflection and reality, between what you see and what your life begins to attract. Stay with me. In the next moments, you'll understand why a simple mirror ritual can shift the flow of wealth in a home more powerfully than any charm, crystal, or symbol ever could. And once you see it, you'll never look at your mirror the same way again. Part 1: The hidden power of the bathroom. Most people only walk into their bathroom to wash up, brush their teeth, or take a quick shower. And in doing so, they miss something essential. They miss that the space they're standing in is not just full of steam or water, but energy. A subtle, moving energy that either settles or escapes, depending on how the space is cared for. And that one quiet room may explain why so many homes, even beautiful ones, feel like they can't hold on to money, peace, or progress for long. Have you ever noticed how a home can look perfect but still feel slightly off? As if something's stuck, something isn't circulating. The bathroom in Feng Shui is often the reason why. It's the one space governed almost entirely by the water element, which is naturally heavy, downward, and deeply connected to emotions, flow, and release. And while water sustains life, it also washes things away, including energy you may want to keep. This is where most people miscalculate. They assume only the bedroom or front entrance shapes their fortune. They overlook the bathroom, treating it as an afterthought. Yet, from a Feng Shui lens, the bathroom is where energy either recycles or gets flushed out. It is the space where the body lets go, but if you're not careful, so does your luck. So why does this matter so deeply? Because wealth energy is not a fixed thing, it's a living current. It needs containment, clarity, and a quiet respect for where it flows. And in most homes, the bathroom is the only space that combines three intense dynamics at once: moisture, movement, and solitude. Moisture brings saturation. Movement stirs air and intention. Solitude amplifies what's not said. That's a potent trio if left unchecked. Think about it: the most private room in the house holds the most dynamic elements, and yet it's often the least honored. It's where we hide clutter, store things we don't know where else to put, and forget to upgrade until something breaks. But what if the very space you neglect is the one quietly leaking your sense of stability? That's not superstition. That's spatial psychology. Energy in any space responds to care or the lack of it, and the bathroom is particularly sensitive to this. When it's dim, damp, or chaotic, that emotional state begins to echo in your finances, your focus, and even your sleep. It's not magic, it's mapping. Your home mirrors your mind, and your bathroom reflects what you unconsciously avoid. What people rarely consider is this: the bathroom is the one room in your home where everything naturally leaves: water, waste, fog, heat. And if nothing is intentionally placed there to counterbalance that loss, then what's leaving isn't just physical. It's energetic, it's emotional, it's financial. And you might feel it as exhaustion, mental fog, or that subtle, repeating feeling that progress just keeps slipping away no matter how hard you work. It's not that the bathroom causes failure, but it often reflects it. Or more accurately, it reflects how we treat things we think we've contained. And here's where it gets even more interesting. The bathroom is also the place we confront ourselves, usually in silence. In the mirror, in the steam, in the solitude. It's where your day starts and often where it ends. And yet how often do we pause to ask, what energy does this room really hold? Not the energy we want it to hold, but the one it's actually vibrating with. Water collects. Water absorbs. So does energy. So if you've had arguments, exhaustion, or grief lately, and you haven't intentionally refreshed the bathroom space, what makes you think those emotions didn't settle there, just like steam on the walls? The bathroom is a sponge. And like any sponge, if not wrung out with care, it starts to smell, stagnate, and saturate the air around it. What's more, Many people will clean the kitchen more than the bathroom, decorate the living room with intention, yet leave the bathroom purely functional. But function without flow is friction. When a room is purely mechanical, but emotionally neglected, it becomes a pocket of trapped energy, like a beautiful home with a broken lung. You may not see it, but you will feel it. In Feng Shui, we're not just working with objects. We're working with breath, with mood, with unspoken movement. And in a space like the bathroom, where water dominates and clarity often fades, you need more than air freshener and folded towels. You need awareness. This is not about being spiritual or rigid. It's about understanding space as a system. Just as a blocked artery affects the heart, a blocked bathroom affects the energetic circulation of your home. And for those who have already sensed this intuitively, who've walked into their bathroom and felt drained without knowing why, this isn't your imagination. It's energetic memory. It's the buildup of weeks, months, even years of unconscious presence. That's why so many Feng Shui masters say, don't just cleanse the body, cleanse the space where the body lets go. Because if that space isn't clear, neither will your energy be. Not in the morning, not at night, and not in the outcomes that shape your life. And maybe that's the question no one's asked you until now, not how's your bathroom designed, but how does it feel? If that room could speak, what would it say? And more importantly, what has it been holding for you that you've forgotten to release? Part 2. The mirror ritual. Wealthy people don't talk about. If the bathroom is where energy tends to escape, then the mirror is where it can be held gently, silently, and with precision. And among all the elements that Feng Shui honors in a home, none is as quietly powerful or as consistently misunderstood as the bathroom mirror. Not the kind of power you notice with your eyes, but the kind that shapes mood, momentum, and mindset without ever asking for attention. Have you ever wondered why some people walk out of their bathroom feeling more grounded, more focused, as if their day just clicked into place, and others leave feeling vague, scattered, or oddly drained, even if everything looked clean? Often, the answer rests in one quiet surface: the mirror. A mirror that hasn't been touched in days. A mirror that faces the wrong direction. A mirror that reflects confusion instead of clarity. These are not just design issues, they're energy issues. In Feng Shui, mirrors are tied to the fire element. They hold brightness, reflection, vision. They are not passive. They do not just sit and wait. They shape the way energy bounces, circulates, and settles. A bright mirror becomes a channel. A dull one becomes a blur. And here's where things get more nuanced. The bathroom, dominated by water energy, is naturally cool, inward, and releasing. It moves downward by default. That's its nature. And fire, the mirror, does the opposite. It lifts, it activates, it brightens. So when placed correctly, a mirror in the bathroom doesn't just reflect, it counterbalances. It holds space for energy to stay just a little longer. And in a home where money seems to flow in but never rest, this becomes a quiet but essential shift. But here's the paradox: most people miss cleaning the mirror is not about cleaning. It's about recalibrating the space every single day. It's not a task, it's a tuning fork. And the difference between a mirror that's wiped with attention versus one that's cleaned only when visibly dirty is the difference between being energetically aligned and just visually neat. Some of the wealthiest, most energetically aware individuals in the world have habits they never explain, not because they're hiding them, but because they've internalized them so deeply they forget how powerful they are. One of those habits is this: they wipe their bathroom mirror every morning, even when it looks clean. Not to impress anyone, but because they understand something most people don't. A mirror collects more than fingerprints. It collects energy, thought residue, emotional fog, arguments, deadlines, late-night worries. And every time they wipe it, they are removing what the room absorbed but never voiced. That's the kind of wealth management no one teaches, but it shows up in how a space holds its frequency. Because you can own beautiful things, live in a luxurious space, but if your mirror is foggy, literally or metaphorically, your decisions will be too. This is not symbolic. It's functional. Mirrors absorb and distribute light. And light, in Feng Shui, is not just illumination, it's insight, direction, momentum. So when that surface is bright, your thoughts tend to follow. When that surface is cluttered, reflection turns into distortion. There's a reason ancient traditions treat mirrors as portals, not just tools. And there's a reason modern design continues to place them in spaces of transition: bathrooms, hallways, entrances, because they don't just show us where we are. They decide how energy moves next. But if mirrors are so powerful, why aren't more people intentional about them? Because we've trained ourselves to look at the image in the glass, not the surface itself. We care about how we look, not what's holding the looking. And so we miss the space. We miss the energy. And we miss the shift. Think of it this way: if your mirror is the last thing you see before stepping out into the world, what state is it reflecting back to you? Is it grounded, focused, bright, or is it showing you layers of things you've forgotten to process? There's a reason people say, how you start the day shapes how the day flows. And for many, the first real pause of presence happens in front of the bathroom mirror. Not in front of a journal, not in front of a candle, but in that split second when they see themselves. And what they see matters less than what that space is echoing. This is where the mirror becomes more than glass. It becomes a silent company pilot, a space of orientation, a touch point between the subconscious and the physical. And when you begin treating it that way, not just as a tool for grooming, but as a space for anchoring, the ripple effect is immediate. Your mind becomes clearer, your breathing steadies, your choices carry weight, and your space feels like it's working with you, not just surrounding you. Of course, this doesn't mean a single wipe of a mirror transforms your life. But over time, like a string plucked in rhythm, the daily repetition of attention creates tone, resonance, focus. And in the subtle world of Feng Shui, where energy moves more like water than bricks, that focus is everything. It's what decides whether your home becomes a drain or a reservoir. And the mirror, quietly catching the first light of day, becomes one of the most overlooked, underused, and potent tools in shifting that direction. Not through decoration, but through deliberate care. And so maybe the deeper question isn't, do you clean your mirror? But how do you treat the one surface that reflects your entire field of being before you step into the world? Because the mirror, like any wise observer, remembers everything you don't say. And every time you tend to it with stillness, with attention, and with calm, it starts to do something remarkable. It reflects back not just your appearance, but your readiness. And for those who understand this not intellectually, but experientially, it becomes one of the most personal rituals in their space. A kind of private dialogue between self and space, between reflection and intention, between holding on and letting go just enough to move forward. Part 3: Common mirror placement mistakes that leak fortune. If you've ever done everything right, worked hard, set goals, decluttered your space, and still felt like progress slips just out of reach, the answer may not lie in your mindset or your habits, but in something far more subtle: where your mirror is placed. And perhaps more importantly, what that mirror is facing. Because in Feng Shui, it's not just about what's in your home, it's about what's being amplified, deflected, or scattered without you even realizing it. A mirror isn't neutral. It's one of the few objects in your home that doubles whatever it sees. It doesn't just reflect, it extends. Which means when it faces light, it doubles radiance. But when it faces chaos, or worse, an energy leak, it doesn't just reflect it. It intensifies it. That's where placement becomes more than decor. It becomes decisive. Many people make the same mistake without knowing, placing a mirror directly opposite a toilet, a drain, or a bathroom door. On the surface, it looks harmless, balanced, even. But from an energy perspective, you've just pointed a magnifying glass toward the very place energy exits. You've invited the mirror to bounce good Kai directly into the space that flushes it away. And because the mirror keeps repeating that motion every day, you begin to experience a soft, repeating drain on money, on focus, on motivation that feels mysterious but isn't. What's more, when mirrors reflect doorways, they confuse the space. Instead of energy settling, it ricochets. It moves too fast to root. And when Kai doesn't settle, neither do finances, relationships, or clarity. They start to hover. They stay in motion, but never arrive. It's a mistake that looks symmetrical but feels off. That's the paradox. The placement looks balanced, but it creates imbalance. The mirror aligns perfectly with the toilet, but the energy, instead of being retained, is now on a collision course with loss. This is why Feng Shui always treats reflective surfaces with precision. Not fear, not superstition, just respect for how energy moves when we're not looking. And if you think a mirror's shape or angle doesn't matter, pause. Because even these details carry weight. A mirror placed too low compresses energy. It pulls it down, creating a heavy, sluggish feel, often mirrored in the body as fatigue or tightness. Too high and the energy rises unnaturally. It can't anchor. You may feel spacey, disconnected, or ungrounded without knowing why. And then there's tilt. A mirror angled forward sends energy away. A mirror tilted back disorients. It may reflect more light, but it destabilizes the flow. It acts like a stream redirected against itself. The natural course becomes disrupted. Momentum gets blurred, and your space, though beautiful, stops supporting the direction you intend. Have you ever walked into a room and felt like something was being pushed back, even when nothing moved? That's the kind of spatial dissonance a misaligned mirror creates. It doesn't shout, but it hums beneath your awareness until you begin adjusting your life around a discomfort you can't name. Shape matters too. Round mirrors encourage soft movement, like a gentle swirl. They're great for creating harmony, especially in small bathrooms where energy can feel tight. Square or rectangular mirrors bring structure. They support clarity and decision-making. But mirrors with jagged edges, uneven borders, or overly abstract designs, they often scatter more than they stabilize. They interrupt the line, and the more broken that visual path becomes, the more fragmented your energy tends to feel, especially in the morning when your system is most sensitive. This isn't about rejecting creative design. It's about remembering that design is energy in form, and every edge either sharpens or softens the way your body and mind move through space. Wealthy homes rarely use ornate, distorted mirrors in bathrooms, not because they lack taste, but because they understand that energy needs smooth paths to rest. Not everything beautiful is supportive, and not everything minimal is dull. The most powerful placements are often the quietest. Mirrors that reflect natural light, that bounce warmth rather than noise, that don't face drains or exits, but reflect something alive: a plant, a softly lit wall, even an open space where breath can expand. These choices are subtle, but over time, they build an atmosphere that holds energy instead of letting it escape. And that's the essence of sustainable abundance, not the intensity of gain, but the stability of retention. So maybe the more important question is not just where is your mirror, but what is your mirror facing every day? Because that answer will tell you more about your energy patterns than any surface-level checklist ever could. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. You start noticing how placement shapes perception, how light shifts mood, how energy follows intention, even when that intention is unspoken. You begin to sense what the mirror has been amplifying all along, not just your reflection, but your reality. Part 4: The Quiet Trio. Mirror, scent, and breathable air. If the mirror is the face of a room, then its breath, its scent, and its ability to hold stillness make up its soul. And nowhere is this more vital than in the bathroom, where stillness is so easily replaced by movement, and clarity by noise. After understanding how the wrong mirror placement can fracture energy, we now shift to something more subtle but equally powerful: how your bathroom feels when no one's speaking. Because even when everything is in the right place, if the air doesn't move, if the scent feels artificial, if the space doesn't breathe, something goes missing. The energy doesn't land, it hovers, it rushes, it slips. And what slips isn't just its presence, balance, the ability for a space to hold you. Have you ever walked into a bathroom that was technically clean but felt stagnant? Like the room had exhaled but never quite inhaled again? That feeling isn't just sensory, it's energetic. And it comes from three quiet forces working in the background: the mirror, the scent, and the breathability of the air. This is what I call the quiet trio. They rarely draw attention, but they shape every second of how the bathroom holds or repels energy. Let's begin with scent. Most people think of fragrance as decorative, optional, something to enjoy. But in Feng Shui, scent is directional. It moves energy, stirs memory, and sets the emotional tone of a space without ever needing to be seen. It's not about what smells good, it's about what scent communicates to your nervous system. Harsh, synthetic fragrances tell the body something here is being covered up. Soft, grounded aromas tell the body you are safe, anchored, welcome. And if the energy in your bathroom feels anxious, stale, or overly sharp, it's often the scent speaking first. Wealth-conscious individuals understand this instinctively. They use essential oils not to hide odor, but to hold vibration. Cedarwood to root, sweet orange to brighten, lavender to quiet. And they don't oversaturate the room. They let scent live there like a quiet guest, not overpowering. Just present enough to anchor awareness. In Feng Shui, wood energy is represented in part by scent. It's what gives the water-dominant bathroom a lifeline, a counterbalance. So when you diffuse essential oils, you're not just making the room smell better. You're infusing the water-heavy environment with grounded, subtle fire and wood energy elements that stabilize and uplift. But even scent isn't enough if the air doesn't move. Which brings us to the second member of the trio: breathability. A bathroom with stale air is like a thought never spoken. It circles, stagnates, and begins to weigh down the space. And while this may sound poetic, it's practical. Poor air circulation doesn't just create discomfort. It creates energetic heaviness. Energy becomes sluggish. And in Feng Shui, when Kai doesn't move, nothing flows, not money, not motivation, not clarity. It's not about how big the window is. It's about whether the air knows where to go. Bathrooms, by design, often trap air, closed doors, warm water, sealed humidity. And if no exhaust fan is used, or if it's only used occasionally, the space begins to hold what was meant to be released. You might notice towels that never feel fully dry, corners that seem to collect dust faster than they should, a sense that the room always feels 10 minutes behind. What you're noticing isn't mess, it's stuck energy. And where energy is stuck, so is potential. Wealth-sensitive households never treat air circulation as a luxury. They understand that stale air means stale luck. And rather than forcing solutions, they let air move gently through vents that are cleaned, fans that are maintained, and habits that respect the space's rhythm. Even opening the door at the right time of day, letting the room exhale, is a form of spatial care. A breath, a pause, a moment for the space to reset. But again, none of this works in isolation. Which is why we return to the mirror, the final member of the trio. Because once scent calms the body and air refreshes the space, the mirror becomes the translator. It's the one element that reflects everything else: how light bounces, how steam moves, how the scent lingers. A clean, well-placed mirror doesn't just show your reflection. It shows the integrity of the space, and when it reflects a softly scented corner, a plant resting quietly, and the motion of air touching the walls, it tells a story of balance, a visual echo of harmony. But if that mirror reflects clutter, darkness, or a vent that hasn't worked in months, it reflects that too. Not as judgment, but as clarity. It tells you what's being held, what's being neglected, and what's quietly shaping the room's emotional undercurrent. So the question isn't just what your mirror reflects, it's what kind of space it's being asked to hold. And this is where the trio begins to work together. Scent stirs, air moves, the mirror confirms. When they align, the bathroom becomes a space of gentle magnetism, not loud, not forced, but softly powerful. Like a stream that no longer overflows or dries up, but flows in rhythm with the rest of the home. And when that happens, you feel it, not just in your senses, but in your choices, in your timing, in your ability to respond instead of react. These aren't just environmental tweaks, they're energetic agreements. Your space saying, I support you, I remember what you forgot, I hold what you can't carry every day. But only when the air can move, the scent can root, and the mirror can speak clearly. And maybe that's the thought to sit with: not how your bathroom looks, but whether it breathes, whether it whispers calm, whether it holds energy instead of echoing loss. These are the spaces we overlook until life begins to feel disjointed, and suddenly, we realize it wasn't the big things that shifted us. It was the little ones we stopped noticing. The scent in the air, the breath of a room, the mirror watching it all. Part 5: the ritual that changes the flow. If scent gives the bathroom its tone and air gives it breath, then ritual gives it memory. Ritual is what makes a space trustworthy. And in the most energetically attuned homes, there's one habit so quiet, so simple, most would never assume it matters, but it does. Because the moment you treat your space as something that holds memory, everything changes. And in Feng Shui, few things hold memory quite like the act of wiping a mirror. Not for vanity, not for shine, but for clarity. This is not cleaning, it is recalibration, a reset of reflection. A moment that says, I'm here now in this body, in this space, and I'm willing to see clearly. This act, barely 2 minutes, does more than remove fog. It interrupts the accumulation of energetic residue. It breaks the unconscious pattern of rushing past yourself every morning. Because whether you realize it or not, that mirror remembers things you've forgotten. The hesitation in your shoulders, the worry in your brow, the thoughts that circled before sleep and lingered into the morning. Mirrors hold that, not mystically, energetically. And when left untouched, they begin to reflect not just light, but every layer of what was never cleared. So when someone wipes a mirror each morning, they aren't just maintaining glass, they're maintaining self-awareness. And that awareness shifts the flow of Kai. In homes where abundance feels stable, you'll often find this one quiet consistency: the mirror is always clean. Not spotless out of obsession, just cared for, tended to. Not because guests will see it, but because the people living there know what it means to keep energy available. And that availability shows up in the flow of things: time, attention, money, even affection. These are all forms of energy. They need a place to land, a place to stay, a place to pause before moving again. And when your mirror is intentionally maintained, it becomes a kind of energetic pause point, a place that doesn't just reflect your face but steadies your presence. But what does that actually shift, practically? It creates rhythm. And in Feng Shui, rhythm is more important than perfection. Energy doesn't need everything to be flawless. It needs everything to be in motion, gently, consistently, with intention. Wiping your mirror each morning becomes the equivalent of tuning an instrument before playing. You're not trying to change your day, you're making sure it starts on the right note. And when this becomes a habit, that rhythm begins to shape your day before anything external can disrupt it. The room feels lighter. Your energy feels less scattered. Not because anything grand has happened, but because something quiet has stabilized. It's the difference between responding and reacting, between beginning with clarity and beginning in chaos. And what's often overlooked is how this one act impacts not just you but the space itself. Feng Shui teaches that everything you touch becomes part of your energetic signature. So when your hand touches the mirror with presence, you're embedding clarity into the room. You're telling the space, this moment matters. And spaces, like people, respond to being seen. They begin to hold your intention more faithfully. Over time, this practice also acts like a filter. It helps you notice when something's off, not just on the mirror, but in your day, your mood, your direction. You may find yourself catching your breath more easily, realizing you're holding tension, shifting how you approach a task, all because you paused, touched a surface, and cleared it with attention. And the mirror, in turn, becomes not just a tool of reflection but a partner in presence. But what happens when you skip it? When the mirror goes untouched for days, most people won't notice immediately, but over time a kind of fog returns, not just on the glass but in the energy. The room feels less vibrant, the space loses its emotional shape, and the mind follows. That's when you find yourself forgetting small things, feeling delayed for no reason, rushing more, landing less. It's not that the mirror caused it. It's that your rhythm with the space broke. And rhythm, more than any single object, is what holds energy in place. In this sense, the ritual of wiping the mirror isn't about the mirror, it's about the relationship. The way you begin your day in relation to space, to silence, to self. And when that relationship is conscious, even if only for a minute, it alters the trajectory of energy for the hours that follow. Wealth, in Feng Shui, is not just accumulation, it's circulation. The ability for energy to move and return without resistance. And the bathroom, as a space of release, must be balanced with an act of retention. The mirror becomes that act, a single surface that holds the fire element, that bounces light, that centers your image in space, and that, when maintained, anchors energy that would otherwise evaporate. So perhaps the mirror isn't asking to be cleaned, it's asking to be met. To be seen as a collaborator, a threshold, a place where the unseen becomes visible again. And maybe that's what makes this ritual so powerful. It's not loud, it's not elaborate, it's personal, it's subtle. But in its consistency, it changes the nature of the space. And in changing the space, it changes what the space gives back to you. Because the flow of energy isn't just about what enters your home. It's about what stays, what roots, what holds. And sometimes, the most powerful way to hold that flow isn't a new object or a big redesign, but a cloth, a breath, and a moment of attention before the day begins. Sometimes, the spaces we use the most are the ones we think about the least. And for so many households, the bathroom becomes that forgotten corner. Not because we don't care, but because we've never been taught to see it as a living energy zone. We decorate the living room, we plan the kitchen, we dream about bedrooms, but we pass by the bathroom with only utility in mind. And in that habit, we miss something crucial: the quiet influence of water, mirror, scent, and air. What we explored together wasn't theory. It was rhythm. The mirror that doesn't just reflect your face but your state of mind. The scent that doesn't just freshen the room but shifts your emotional base. The air that doesn't just circulate but frees what's been held too long. And finally, the ritual that isn't about cleaning, but anchoring presence before movement. These aren't big changes, they're small, consistent acts. But they shape a space that no longer leaks energy, but holds it quietly, steadily. What many people do because they've seen others do the same is ignore the details that matter. They place mirrors wherever there's wall space, spray synthetic scents that mask rather than ground, let fans gather dust, and call it just a bathroom. The crowd moves fast, but energy moves differently. And perhaps the reason life feels rushed, fragmented, or uncentered isn't because we're doing too little, but because we're overlooking the softest points of influence. So take this as an invitation not to redesign everything, but to remember what shapes energy the most is often what's quietest. A clean mirror, a breathable space, a scent that calms rather than distracts, a ritual that roots you in clarity. These are not decorative choices, they are energetic alignments, and when practiced with intention, they change the tone of your home and over time, your life. If this video inspired you, I invite you to share it with someone you care about. Leave a comment with your own reflections or experience, and subscribe to New Day Mindfulness so I can soon reach 5,000 followers and continue offering content that's not only gentle and deep but truly aligned with the subtle energy of your everyday spaces. Because this isn't just a channel. It's a quiet space to come back to, a place where mindfulness, energy and daily living meet not in grand gestures, but in the mirror you wipe each morning, in the breath your space finally takes, and in the way you begin to live not just in your home, but with it.